It's Sammy for another episode of the I Do Music podcast, and our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we sat down with Atlanta icon DJ Jelly discussing being persistent on his journey as a DJ, his influence on Southern hip-hop through his legendary mixtapes and Outkast Records, and how he's been able to sustain for almost 3 decades. Hey, it's Sammy for another episode of the I Do Music podcast, and I'm sitting down with the legendary DJ Jelly.
What's up?
Finally.
What's up, Sammy?
How are you?
I am blessed. How you doing?
I'm well. It's good to see you. It's good to
absolutely
to have worked with you in the past and to just like reconnect and finally get you. This is like a couple years in the game. We've been trying to get you here because you're always busy,
right?
Booked and busy.
But you're busy. We're just busy. But we're here though. That's such a blessing. So that's cool.
So those that don't know, DJ Jelly is like so impactful to not only just Southern hip hop, but just hip hop, but definitely Southern hip hop, and putting a lot of your favorite acts in the game. And we know how influential that DJ, especially back then, was, but is even today.
Yeah,
so still very, very important. So let's start off with, first and foremost, how you even got, I know the stories, but they don't know the stories. How you started DJing in the first place, because you're not from Atlanta.
No, I'm not from Atlanta. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, from U City. Mm-hmm. Nelly, shouts out to Lunatics and everybody. But I came to the A, straight out of high school. I was 17. My mother was reading an article, Essen magazine, had Bobby Brown builds this $10 gazillion house, and I was like, that's where I'm heading. I'm out.
You just knew.
As soon as I can still see her at the couch, and I'm looking over her shoulder. I'm like, oh, that's where I'm going. Just off the rip. Was nothing after that. I'm just like, I'm gone. That's
fine. Like I always wonder, or when I have people sit down on the podcast, especially coming up, when you were coming up, it's always been like, I saw something in a magazine, or I saw something usually like in print, and it's so rare that people are picking up magazines.
We didn't have no phone.
Right. So from there, you decided to come to Atlanta. You were in school.
Yep, art school, because I'm a visual artist first before DJs, but the whole creation is what I do. So that's just the whole
visual
psychology.
Painting and
painting, drawing, all that. I used to curate shows. Even when I came here, I used to curate art shows over at the High Museum.
So you were just creative.
Always creative. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
When do you think that you first recognized like the creative part of or side of you, like as a kid? Like, did your parents recognize it? Like
they did. I've always known it. Just as a child, I've always done stuff. I've always painted, draw. I used to throw shows in my neighborhood with all the kids.
Really?
Yeah, I always did that. I just did it.
Just because.
Just did it.
And figured it out.
Yep.
That's dope.
So it was
That's
a blessing.
Super cool. But so when you were in high school, though, you were actually like really moving with the DJ thing, like it was already happening prior to coming to Atlanta.
Because I used to throw parties. Yeah, I used to throw parties with my people.
So tell us about those days. How?
We had the turntables and we used to throw parties. I had a crew, and then we would always, we were socialized. It was called the MPs, male prostitutes.
I'm weak.
I know. Hey, that's old school. So we would just, we just were life of the party type fellas. So we kicked it with all the ladies. We just did things. We just kept stuff cranking at our school. Right.
Now, what was the scene like in UC, like in St. Louis, Missouri? What was that like at that time?
St. Louis was cool. It wasn't really, the music was there, but it wasn't really cracking strong enough. But people were people love hip hop. So we talking about, this is like the mid 80s. So, we all in high school. And
so what were y'all playing? Oh, go ahead.
We was playing a lot of, of course, Easy E and them just dropped. Of course, all the Run DMC stuff, Public Enemy. So it was a mixture of East and West Coast. And I got to give a shout out to my OG out there, Cutmaster K, who taught me. He was a mixologist. So that's where I just really got into this whole putting different sounds together. And we were doing mashups. Well, they weren't called mashups. We just took popular music and rock and everything and just put it together musically. But anyway, we would, the hip hop scene was cracking, but we just didn't have the industry in St. Louis.
Got you. Now, what do you think that Cutmaster K saw in you to take you under his wing? Because at that point, he was already who he was.
Yeah, he was doing his thing, but he was just, I mean, because his brother and I went to school together, so we would always come through and hang out, and I was just very persistent. I mean, I would go carry his crate of records to the parties. Me and my boys would go and just crank up the party. We just cranked the party up for him.
Yeah.
And then I was just always on it. I was just always bothering. Hey man, let me try this. Or I need this mixtape from you. We had cassettes back then, getting the mixtape.
Listen, I'm already hip. So it's actually ironic that you say you were persistent back then, because you continue to be persistent even when you found your way to Atlanta, right?
Absolutely.
So I was listening to this, probably, you don't even probably remember this interview. I found it online and I was like, oh, this is gold. Like, this is literally gold. It's you, Big
Okay.
And I don't know whose platform it was, but it seemed like a radio situation. And Big was talking about, or y'all were talking about how he was talking about how he met you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he talked about specifically how you consistently gave him a tape. Like every time, he run into you. The first tape he took from you, and then the next time you saw him again, you gave him a tape, right. And he continuously did that. So that shows that that persistence.
Oh, you have to do it.
It took you far.
Yeah, but it takes you, even when you get to certain points, you always have to continue that. It shouldn't go away.
Right.
It should never go away.
Now talk about linking up with Big How did that change the dirt?
Well, that happened with, shouts out to MC Assault, who got all of us into this Atlanta madness, the OG. Basically, MC Assault, who was the brainchild of the whole DJ Jelly MC Assault mixtape movement, he would go out and get everybody together. He organized all of us. And he would, shouts out to Starvin Marvin. We hit the park, Maddox Park. We hit John A. White Park, all the parks. And he would just see, he was like, man, I'm going to strategically make sure that all these dope boys, all these ghetto folks get this music.
Right.
So that was the thing. So we
sourcing the streets.
Yeah. So we would just all just rally up. Here we are. We 20 years old and all that. We just turned up. We'd be out in the streets Sunday through Sunday like we were selling dope. But all of us had that goal of, we got to make something happen type. That's where everybody was. So that was a good thing. You've
been so fortunate to have, had the ability, or obviously as a DJ, gigs are they're everywhere, right?
Right.
But I feel like even at the time, you come into a new city, it seems like you just kind of inserted yourself into Atlanta just from the outside looking in. How was that transition for you? Like, do you think those were just kind of, it was destined, like these blessings just kind of happened for you, or what were you doing to land? I know you started off at, you correct me, your story. I have it written down somewhere. You started at
Magic City was my
Bobby
first.
Brown Studio. No.
Wow, you talking about as far as just
industry,
working?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, industry. Yeah, industry wise, yeah. Bobby Brown Studio. I was a freshman in college, ACA, which is now Savannah Art College. But
and this is Bobby Brown's studio?
Bobby Brown, Bobby Brown, that I looked at the article. Magazine. But the thing was this, though, what was so crazy is that we had a field trip in college, and we went to his studio. It's like, yeah, we're going to do. I'm like, cool, I'm game. So then when we got there, I met the guy who ran his studio, this old cat. And he was talking about music and different things, and I would just, in the conversation, interject right in the conversation. Yeah. And I wasn't overdoing. I was just like, look, I'm there with you.
I'm tuned in. Yeah.
I'm tuned in. I'm like this, and I'm getting feedback. I'm listening to him because he's an older G. So, but I was on it. Mm-hmm. And it goes back to being persistent. I was on it. I wasn't here to play or just say, "Oh, this cool." I was there to say, "Well, what's happening? Do y'all need some help?"
Right.
And that was my whole vibe. Mm-hmm. And he took me under his wing, and gave me the job there at Bobby Brown Studio. I never saw Bobby Brown, but I saw all the other artists at that time that was coming in. Like everybody, you had people from they wasn't Blackstreet back then, but it was like different members.
Yeah.
People Bryson. Shouts out to people Bryson, OOG. Who I got fired there at Bobby Brown Studio.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, why'd you get fired?
Because I was persistent with all the other artists. Like, I would do my own work, go do the boards and everything, but at the same time, if the artists need something in there, I was just like, boom.
So you was working your move, basically.
I was making my moves.
So you were engineering there too?
No, I was doing the work for the engineers. They said, well, we need something to eat. I had to go to.
You were like intern.
I was intern.
The go-to, the do boy.
The gopher. Yeah, the do boy, all that.
Yeah. So after getting fired from Bobby Brown's studio.
Twice. Mm-hmm.
Twice.
Yeah.
So they let you back.
Yeah.
Did you come back?
People, Bryson saved me the first time. He's like, man, he's such a good kid. He do his thing. They loud, but they just wasn't with it. And I wasn't about to be, just chilling there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then, and the owner told me, he said, you know what? Maybe this music industry ain't for you. Music ain't for you. You're not going to make it.
Really?
Yeah, he told me that. And then 2 weeks later, I got hired at Magic City by DC, who made Whoop There It Is.
Wow.
2 weeks later. Because I was already knew it was shaky, so I was out in the street. I was trying to get the backup. Yeah.
That's so interesting because, a lot of times I feel like people get so frustrated when one door closes and they don't realize it's a reason for that door closing. Like, probably at the time, I'm sure you were like, dang, like, I don't know what I'm going to do next.
No, I was just like, I'm going to try something else. But of course it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong, but you just can't stop. That's what you don't do.
That's one thing about like I said in the beginning, I've been able to work with you, but like one thing about your personality and just like who you are as a person, you just seem very, not unbothered, but it's just like your spirit is always aligned. And I'm sure that's a testament to what you've seen in the industry and how it can break you, and how like if you aren't persistent and keep moving forward, that it could be detrimental to your spirit and your being.
Absolutely.
But literally, I've never seen you broken, or not even broken, but just like phased by certain things. It's like, this is the situation. This is what I got to do. I'm gonna do it. Like, just a background about me and Jelly. We were able to work at V103, where he's currently been mixing and doing his thing, DJing there. But we would have fun at the Falcons tailgate. Shout out to the Falcons.
Right. Shout out to the Falcons.
Yeah, we got a W yesterday. So moving forward though, so you got the job at Magic City, and all while you were doing that, you were managing at Peppermint Records, which is like a classic staple place here, or was
in the West End.
In the West End,
West End Mall.
Talk about Peppermint Records, like who. I'm sure you were seeing a lot of people come in and out of it.
Everybody, every artist. I can remember one time when who came through there. I can't. Well, of course, people like Arrested Development when they were first trying to break records. Said, yo, Jeff, because I would bring my turntables to Peppermint Records and spin at Peppermint Records and stuff like that. Swiss Beat, I remember one time Swiss used to always come through. Shout out to Swiss. He used to bring all these damn tapes, man. DMX, I'm telling you, this is my dog. He the shit. He played me about 10 tapes. And X would be on there going off. He was just grimy. He is what it is. But, he was doing this thing. So I met a lot people like Akon. I met people when they started their journeys, and we would all connect. So that was the beauty of it. Gangstar, rest in peace, and Guru. It was just beautiful to see people come through. Eazy-E came and kicked it one time. I mean, I could just go down the list. Sherelle, it's just amazing to see that. And I would see it at Peppermint Records, and then I would see it at Magic City. So I would get the best of both worlds all the time. And speaking of Magic City, that was my college. That was my introduction really into Atlanta.
Did you finish school?
Yeah,
you finished school while you were doing all of this?
Absolutely. I finished, graduated, BA, everything. Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, a lot of times people are like, this is taking off.
Oh yeah.
But school was important for you.
Yeah, just did it for the parents.
For the parents,
just had to get it out the way.
Facts, same. So it's just so many things. Not being from Atlanta and really like starting to insert yourself into the fabric of what was going on, the culture, what was going on, which I'm sure wasn't extremely different. It's the South. Well, yeah, it's probably different. But could you imagine what your life might have been like had you not decided to kind of grow here, your foundation here?
I never thought about that.
Never.
I'm dead serious. Dead serious. Never thought about that.
It just happened the way it was supposed to.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. So talk about the mixtape culture, because, I mean, you talked about it a little bit early on and how you learned from somebody like a Cutmaster K, who is this mixologist. Yeah. But people know you. Like, I was reading an article specifically that said when it comes to selling mixtapes in the South, it's two people that are credited for, like, moving the most units.
Right.
one of those people, rest in peace to DJ Screw.
Yeah.
Houston.
Absolutely.
And then next up is Jelly. I mean, like right alongside. So, and coming out of Atlanta. So I asked that because mixtapes have been, or especially during a certain period of time, very, very important to the success of an artist.
Right.
But you, to the foundation of a mixtape, though, you were doing these mixes where you're taking like a song and another song, and it's like this whole one long mix of just like dance party.
It's dance party, and we would have different types of it. And the thing about the mixtape was not only to just have pleasure so people can run around bumping. Shouts out to Edward J and the J team because they put it down in the A. It was, for me, it was more of an introduction of music from this area or music from other areas to bring to this area. That's how I looked at it. Because back then hip-hop radio wasn't big in the early 90s. It just wasn't.
Right.
So basically the whole DJ Jelly MC Assault tape was basically a broadcast of the hip-hop during that era.
So that was the first, you and MC Assault, that was the first tape that you like pushed? That's the branding of the tape. The first tape was called the Mac Mix. So we always had titles. The Bass Game, Love Mix 1. We always had titles to different ones and concepts. So we basically were kind of like the radio of Atlanta along with the J team. Right.
So you come during the Freaknik era, during that time, people would come in, get these tapes like, oh, this Outkast or this, you know what I'm saying? Because they wasn't hip to it. And they'd take it back to the East Coast or West Coast, because this would be the music. Like, man, that shit jumping down in the A.
Right. And I'm just more so impressed on the fact that you're able to sell like so many units.
Oh, like, absolutely.
Because we didn't 20,000 units per year.
Probably more than that, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Thank God we didn't get arrested, but hey, that was back then.
Yeah, I mean, how does it feel to know you've had that sort of influence on Southern hip hop to date? Like I said already, many of the careers that you're naming, you're talking about, you were there from the beginning, and y'all grew together. Like it's similar to what's happening now in Atlanta, where you see the Blacks, the Jizz, the Earth Gangs. It's so many more.
The Earth Gang. God, they doing their thing.
Yeah. Shout out to Maze High. They and I mean, just to see like those are my peers and to see like their growth and where they're going, even in 2019, 2020, where like music industry can take you so many more places because of the people like you who put on for Southern hip hop. Like it might not have been a place for Earth Gang or whoever had it not been for the DJ Jellies of the world.
Right, absolutely.
So do you recognize how influential that is today?
Absolutely, because I mean, even for me as a DJ, I look at people like Jam Master Jay, Grandmaster Flash, was really help influencing Jazzy Jeff. That if it wasn't for them, African Baba, I look at that like all that's important. But each generation basically has the same story. It's just different dialect but it's the same story each generation. Yeah. So that's dope. Just how it is.
Now, what would you say your purpose was as of your role as a DJ at the time, obviously, besides what we already talked about, how you push records that essentially help the next artist coming out of Atlanta, from Future to 2 Chainz, etc., or Titty Boy at the time, but
right.
What's your purpose as the DJ? Your role, like for those that may not know at that time, like
my purpose. My purpose has always been like being an ambassador. I'm basically a fan of music first. Mm-hmm. So I always when I discover something, I want everybody else to know, man, you heard this Drake, this first CD, that shit. I'm always excited by just good music, great music, not just great music. Mm-hmm. So that's always been my purpose, to be an ambassador and be this so-called, not even a cheerleader, it's just that somebody needs to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I want them to get it. I want them to have it. Yeah. I want to have that gift. The same excitement I got, I want you to have that same excitement.
Facts. Now, how are you going about, you keep your ear to the streets still as a DJ.
I got kids, I got babies, all that. Now listen, I like at this point in my life, I feel more like a professor and I'm out here researching still. So it's like, I'm listening.
But at the time, you were in a club, so I'm sure people were just passing off things.
Always.
Always. How do you decipher, like, I mean, do you listen to everything?
Not everything, no.
Right.
Not everything.
It's probably impossible.
Hell no.
How do you determine what you do or do not listen to? Like, for instance, to an artist, because a lot of artists listen to this podcast and this platform. So for an artist and they're approaching DJ Jelly back in like when you in Magic City, you in these clubs, like, I mean, you still are, but this is like early DJ Jelly. How would you have preferred to be approached by an artist in order to actually listen to the tape?
I mean, here's the thing. Every artist is different. So it's never one thing. I can't just put this list on here and say, don't come to my door and do 1 through 10. I think that's just bogus.
Yeah.
But, everybody has a different way of approaching. I mean, I had a different relationship with Kilo to if it was Raheem to if it was Common. Like, it's just, I can't really say what it actually is. It's just that as long as you have sense and we can communicate,
it's possible.
Yeah.
Would you advise that an artist hands over a tape while you're gigging? Like, I just feel like it's certain.
Now there are some things, just don't come up there and act like you this big shit, or don't say nothing to me, or send your dude boy over. I expect the artist to come and approach the DJ.
Yeah.
Not approach him and say, man, play my shit.
Right.
Here this money is like that. That's, come on, man. Just have sense and say, what's up? Mm-hmm. I'm so-and-so. Mm-hmm. What's happening? Extend your hand. Be a man or a woman and just introduce yourself.
Absolutely.
And, and just keep an open mind. Don't have no attitude.
Facts.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Absolutely. Now, we got to talk about Outkast.
Right.
We got to talk about Outkast. Y'all have heard Outkast Productions. Y'all have heard all the drops. You know who these people are. And we talked about how you ran into to begin with. But just like the relationships you've been able to form with Outkast, what that is and what that meant to or means to Atlanta, and like music in the music space. I mean, like, I can go on for days. DJ Monte, y'all's relationship, how y'all were able to do what you did with radio and doing with radio. Like, you got V103, which is one of the top radio stations here in Atlanta. He's at Hot, which is another one of the top hip-hop radio stations in Atlanta, specifically. And how y'all were able to still be a collective, a team, essentially always looking out for each other, but putting on for yourselves. It's kind of cool to see how you're able to do that, because a lot of times people can't really separate themselves from the collective or vice versa. Yeah.
So, I mean, the question would be more like how we've been able to sustain,
and just the impact that Outkast had. Like,
I mean, we've been fortunate. In my mind, there's still things that I felt that the label could have done even more. But you always want to, even as an individual, you always want to do more than what, you have more potential. It's like watching a Falcons game. Like, they won yesterday.
But it took a while to get there.
Yeah, but it was like, it could have been more of this and that happened. But that comes with anybody who wants to be great.
Yes.
But, it's a blessing that we started at a time when it wasn't really hip-hop radio, when it wasn't really a movement of a record label being able to have DJs, retail stores at the same time, and just, we just operated different than any hip-hop label at that time. We were really that first conglomerate really to say, you know what, this movement is not only about us, but it's for the South. So that's just kind of how we embraced it. And then a lot of artists would tell you like, oh man, Oomp didn't really holler at me. He couldn't, because we were independent. More important, we were learning about stuff. So nobody wanted to be disrespectful and say, man, you can be with us and you be fucked up. It's like, that's a respect thing as a person first.
Yeah.
So, it was just, we were glad to do what we did at that time, and everything was able to keep moving. We had different phases and different time periods that peaked here and peaked there. So, and still be around, it's been a blessing.
What was your role? I mean, you weren't just DJ, like we talked about it off the record, but like you've gone on to do things on both ends, from like the background, the label management side, to doing what you did as talent, as a DJ. So
yeah, the thing was, first and foremost, I was one of the founding members of the whole Outkast label, and my thing is, for me, I've always been able to help artists. That's always been my thing. So I've always been kind of in the whole Outkast situation, management, without the title, because I just know how to handle artists. and I've always promoted. I've always thrown events. You know, shouts out to Mike over there at Blue Flame. I used to start all my events at the legendary 559. I used to throw birthday parties and all that stuff. Shouts out to Big Darren Davis. You know, just being able to do, that's what I did. And I did it without really thinking about it. You know, just something I enjoy. So that's been my thing. I knew that's my purpose, part of my purpose.
Absolutely. And with Outkast and like starting this label, who was like the first artist that y'all bet on, or like first project that y'all bet on to really like establish yourselves as like
Hitman Sammy Sam. Shouts out to Sam, who is locked down currently. Zone 3.
Yeah, shout out to him. It's so funny because literally everybody always approaches
Sammy
me.
Sam.
Hitman Sammy Sam. Yeah, so, and I was gonna get into that too. Like you were a tour DJ for a lot of artists. He was one of them. So that was the first artist that you took a chance on. Yes,
we did. He the one that really put the Outkast on the map because he was from the hood, from the street, and everybody knew him. And he wasn't no pretend rapper. He wasn't talking about stuff that he didn't experience. He literally was that.
Stepdaddy.
Well, that too. that was the funny part, which really blew him nationally. But all of the hardcore Outkast stuff, oh man, yeah, that was that gangster rap.
That's his real life.
That was his real life.
Not with folks.
No, not no pretend though. None of that.
No rap cap. That's dope. I mean, it's interesting to see like even you guys have been credited for like breaking people like T.I. Initially early on in his career and just getting him to look at where he is. I mean, just so many people we can go on and on and on about. But I wanted to ask you, like, obviously a lot of people, as we see today, pursue music but may not have been as successful. How do you believe you've reached a certain level of success, if you feel like you have, and what made your choices, I guess, different, or what traits kept you in it? Like, what do you think, if you could just look into yourself and say, like, how come I was able to sustain for this amount of time? You said you were going into your third decade in the spring of being in this industry, in this business. And we know it's dog eat dog. So my question is essentially, what traits do you have that you feel like, just looking within helped you sustain and, like, keep yourself in this?
One is I have a relationship with God, and I always speak to him on a regular. And that's very real because I feel that as a person on this earth, and whatever belief you have as a creator, it's just you and God. That's the relationship of keeping you on this earth. It's just y'all two. So nobody else may not understand your story, whether it's your girlfriend, your mother, your dad. Nobody might not even understand it. And really just believing in myself. Of course I had times when I'm doubting different situations, but I think at the same time, what's important is understanding my purpose. So, like, this is my purpose. This is what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
Whether, is the fact that this music is just the fact that there are traits such as me caring about people, me loving art and creativity. Like, all that's important to me. Like, that's important to me, and I understand that. And that's why I'm doing it. Understanding my purpose.
You feel like you're a master of your craft?
Certain things, yes, of course.
What other things do you feel like you can master?
I miss plenty of other stuff I want to master, what I'm saying? But like definitely with the mixing, and then now I'm at a point now where I'm really going straight hardcore into management. That's my next craft to really learn and master completely.
You're like a sensei, like, almost.
Yeah, they say that. I work for Georgia though, so hey.
Okay, all right. So, the impact that you've had with these mixtapes are felt globally. They're all over the
Absolutely.
world. You're an Atlanta-based DJ, but you've had you have a huge following in other countries. So, like from Germany to Japan, Korea. I heard you on that interview I was telling you about, talking about Tokyo a lot. And people are like requesting your tapes and for you to come and perform. So you've been able to travel a lot, I'm sure, between work and life's blessings. So where's your favorite place that you've been able to visit because of work so far?
I would say Germany to me is my second home. Shouts out DJ Hot Sauce. Germany's my second home.
DJ Hot Sauce.
Yeah, Hot Sauce, who's part of the whole Southern Style DJ at Outkast. He's out there in Germany. He's the one that really, him and his crew started bringing us out to Germany, and then I started connecting with all the artists in Atlanta, and we all started going out crime mobs down the line. I would say Japan is my favorite place to party, and I would say Athens, Greece is the favorite food.
Really?
I would say, yeah.
Why is Japan your favorite place to party? They know how to party?
Oh my God. I mean,
I
about just going to, I would go to a club. One time I had to go to a club where I did a set at 11. Then I had to come back and do a next set. That was 11 at night, and I had to come back and do another set at 8 a.m. And it's just, the food is incredible too.
Wow.
I would say the food outside of America is incredible. So
Absolutely.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
We ain't going to get into that. That's a whole nother subject.
It is a whole nother story, but I agree. I just got back from India, so I'm like already feeling like, dang, I want some more food because it's not the same. Mm-hmm. Okay, we got to talk about your production. In addition to being one of the South's leading DJs, Jelly, you've been able to head, the Camp production team. Like I said, we always heard that drop, especially from me coming up. Like,
that's Big Corey. Big Corey.
Big Corey.
Who's now grown. Now he's 20. and he's working with the Earth Gang Project too. He did the leading single is about to drop. So
dope.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah. He but it's gone on to produce tracks for Baby D, Pastor Troy, Too Short, Youngbloods, Jeezy, Crime Mob, literally everybody that came out of Atlanta and surrounding cities, Lil Jon, Rashida. The production piece of that, were you producing?
I was
yourself,
basically,
or you were orchestrating?
Orchestrating, which for Black people, when they hear people giving out ideas and direction, they don't realize that's production.
Right.
That's producing.
Right.
Black people don't understand that. Shouts out to Rick Rubin. So yeah, all of that, and of course my approach would be from me mixing as a DJ, just creating certain sounds and certain ways a song can be approached. Mm-hmm. So that's always been my thing, just giving you other possibilities, a way to approach your production. I would do it from my mixing. Yeah. That's what I would do with my team. Shouts out to Freddie B, who was like the top guy in all that classic camp production stuff. He was like incredible. Shouts out to Freddie B.
Dope, shout out. And I want to talk, since we're talking about just like from then and now, there are many differences in our industry today. Like obviously you're not giving out tapes or we are heavily focused on streaming and all these new things. Yep. But what are some things you see today that you love? And then I guess some things that you don't necessarily care for about like how things have changed, even from the DJ side. I'm kind of more interested to hear about how you feel about DJs today versus then. Like your roles are still important, everything is still important, but now with technology, people definitely don't know how to do what you do.
Right, and that's not and they don't care. And that's the only thing. The only thing that I think that's missing is just the education. That's a problem. Like. If I'm playing in the NFL, or if I'm playing in Major League Baseball, whatever it is, I'm gonna learn about all the greats before me, period. And who's still involved. I'm gonna learn that because why I want to be great. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to be hot. Mm-hmm. Hot is just hot. You hot for 5 seconds, and then you in and out. Then you don't know why. Man, I came up with this situation where I made $1 gazillion, or I hit the top of the charts, but now I don't know where I'm going after that because you don't sit and really understand what it is. So the education is the only problem I have. That's it. What do you love most about what's happening? Like what's new? We talked about Earth Gang a lot, but like there are plenty of new artists, and a lot of which you can hear the influences from some of the legends and the greats. But I'm curious to know, like, is there anybody you listening to? You like, dang, like they really doing something special, or even on the streaming side, do you find that is kind of a little bit more convenient, or like being able to pull from like all these mixtape sites and things like that? To get the music now, at first when this first started happening, like in 2000 and all that, I was like, what the fuck? I was going crazy, like this some bullshit. But now as you learn, here we are 20 years later. It's good. How was that going through that period of time? That was my hardcore period because a lot of stuff changed. And I was still stuck in the 90s, so I had to catch up, and it was it was a scary moment for me during that time. Like, that was my dark period, 2000 to 2000, right before Unk came out. But like that 2000 to 2003 or 4, boy, it was rough. It's tough. It was rough, but I had to adjust. Shouts out to Hot Sauce, who I connected with online during that time, he kind of brought me out of the ice age of the 90s into, it's always good to still learn from other people. Always learn from other people, y'all.
Yeah.
And always have smarter people on the team.
Got to.
Around surrounding you, period.
And just evolve. Too.
And evolve.
Yeah.
And you have to want to evolve. You have to want to, sometimes it'll be hard to just get off that, what you're doing, but, you have to evolve. Because if not, it's a wrap, especially in this game. You'd be left ASAP.
Quickly, yeah. Yeah, I think that is when we're talking about sustaining, that's one of the big things that the OGs that I know that have been through like the various different periods of the music and like, I guess the technology piece of it, those that like continue to stay up on what's going on, especially as a DJ or like, on the talent side, you have to. You kind of have to. So, and things just sound different. Too.
Yeah.
They sound
absolutely
different. So we were talking about it off the record, but you got some cool things coming up with just this crunk tour.
Yeah, the crunk tour is about to go down with Pastor Troy, Fabo, Eastside Boys. So we about to hit that off in 2 weeks.
Dope.
So that's going down. Then my band that I manage, John Boy Surround Sound. John Boy is the creator of the Wobble song.
Mm-hmm.
He's straight from East Atlanta. We just did the
I feel like I saw him
the
at
Funk Fest,
Drunken Unicorn.
You probably did, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's a 17-piece band, so it's like an incredible horn section, like it's some madness. So we're doing that project. I'm managing him. Shouts out to Big C. There's a young boy that who's a producer of mine that I've been managing. That matter of fact, me and my real good friend that just passed away, Young Bird. Shouts out to Bird. Manage. So he's doing his thing. He's out Southwest Atlanta, young dude doing his thing. I'm talking about doing it real big. And then, of course, there's a new camp. Baby D has actually brought some younger cats to the fold. Mm-hmm. So Big is dealing with that situation. So that's dope, too.
That's dope.
We just did the reunion at the Funk Fest this past weekend, and we're about to do some A3C. So
sweet.
I mean, that's just
it's
all the little satellites going around. It's not even time. It's just that it continues. So that's a beautiful thing. It continues.
Right.
Some people like, man, I did it right here, and that's where it's at.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's just continue to evolve. But being a part of the crunk era, like how did that even become a thing? I mean, we go through all these different dance waves. We go through and we call it something different every time. But I think crunk was. I was just talking about this on Butter ATL, but like that was one of my favorite periods in terms of like
crunk?
dance. I was so crunk.
You crunk?
That was like house party. Like,
right.
They had.
It was aggressive though.
It was very aggressive.
A lot of women were very into the crunk. That's what's up though. But do you realize where it comes from?
That's what I'm gonna ask you.
Memphis had a lot. The Memphis sound had a lot to do with crunk. It's just that with Atlanta, we just flip it. We always take what we get out of it and change it. Shouts out to everybody out there in Memphis. SMK, Triple Six Mafia, everybody out there, Squeaky, all of them. Them all my boys. Like
just talking about sis is mad at you, missing out on her set.
Oh yeah. Shouts out to Boo, who was one of my favorite female MCs of all time, period. Hands down.
She killed it at One Music Fest. It was awesome. But I mean, just that era was very special, I think, or is very special to even what we see in terms of like the sound today. So that's why I wanted to ask you that. So we didn't even really get into a lot of the stories, but I know that within over the years, you've been able to work with like the Outkast, the Dungeon Family. We're talking about you being their first tour DJ
for Goody Mob, but the Outkast record was the first one I broke on the radio.
Really?
Like they first, I
didn't know that.
Back in the days. I'm talking about
how did
the first
you do that?
one. I mean, just. I was at V103 in the early 90s, and, of course, the whole Dr. Dre and the West Coast sound was killing it, East Coast. And
Are they playing stuff like that?
What, on the radio?
At the time, everyone?
Yeah. Okay. Everyone, they wasn't playing a lot, but those were the rap songs. It would be, and then I just was like, look, man, y'all got to play this Outkast just straight from here. And so I would just keep pushing it. So Southern Playalistic. And I was on it.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and that was another question I really wanted to ask, is just like, how difficult was it for Atlanta to be heard in terms of the hip-hop space
it was.
at that time?
It was difficult. And I have to say, when I got over the hot, that's when I had the first Atlanta full mix show. It was a fresh it was a fresh party before me. You know, shouts out to Darren, Big Darren, but I came with the actual mix show where I would just break all straight. I played nothing but Atlanta for an hour.
That's fire.
Period. And just go in.
That's what we needed, though.
Yeah,
it's like,
but nobody was trying
it.
Nobody was, nobody was trying to push it like that.
But didn't they see success from, you doing that hour mix show, or they,
Yeah, everybody knew. Everybody, I ain't got to say nothing. Everybody know who involved right now. Everybody know. It is what it is.
It's so funny though. Like, as much as I try to stroke your ego on this podcast, you just say so humble, and that's rare to most people you meet that are DJs or producers, songwriters who've gotten a lot of success. It's no need to stroke their ego. It's like they're gonna tell you, they're gonna boast it. You, on the other hand, I feel like you just remain very humble. I'm sure that's a testament to your upbringing or some other things, but like, why is that important for you to just be like so down to earth? Like, we're regular people,
right? And that's the thing that people don't realize. You are regular, because you gotta understand something in this game, and everybody go through it. You gonna get to certain points where you the shit. You're gonna have that moment, especially if you're very persistent in this game. You're gonna have that moment when you the shit. But you got to realize that only lasts but so long. Mm-hmm. So you got to think about, like, okay, do I want to be hot, or do I want to have a career and be able to really continue to grow and evolve and be involved? Mm-hmm. So you got to go back and say, you know what, I'm human. Let me go ahead and get to it. This is what I love to do, and I'm going to stay on it. And just get up all that rah-rah, because that'll throw you way off quick.
What's like one of the biggest lessons you feel like you've learned in terms of like the business part of it, like to make your money, to make sure that you continue? Because, you'll see some highs and lows, like how you were talking about, when people were downloading music during the early 2000s, and how we were trying to come out of that and get into the streaming era, I guess, even, and where music was available online. That was a period of time where I know a lot of people in the music business were hurt. What are some lessons you learned in terms of like handling the business part of it?
I think it's two things. One is you definitely have to research and pay attention to your surroundings, and really research the actual business itself, whether it's reading, whether it's finding out through other people who've been successful, learning about it. And I think secondly, but you have to be honest with people, and this is what I need. That's it. And if they can't handle that, then it is what it is. Mm-hmm.
Can you recall like one of your favorite moments on tour? Like, I know you've been on a lot of tours, you've seen a lot of things, but like, what tour do you like look back on like, dang, we had a good ass time?
I would say one of my favorite highlights would be the VH1 hip hop Down South Honors, when I was DJing with Dungeon Family, Rico and them. Like that's like way up there.
Why was that?
It just showed where we came from. That point, and the fact that they were saying, you know what, y'all did, that was the accolade, like, hey, y'all did y'all shit when we giving y'all love, you know what I'm saying, on a big level. That's amazing. And that was just a blessing, like, just to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how many times do people come up to you asking, do you remember that time because when I was listening to that interview in particular, right. It was this man that called into the interview, and he was just like, or called into the radio, I guess, and he was just like, Jelly, yeah, that one time I remember when and y'all was kind of like listening. He was like, oh, okay, like without
right.
Didn't remember.
But I mean, but still, all that is just it's like, okay, you're doing something right.
Yeah, you touched so many people.
Yeah, and that's a blessing. It's like, but you had to continue. It's like this is your purpose. Keep rolling. Don't get into the rah-rah. Mm-hmm. Just is a blessing for that, because everybody has that. I have that with other people. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. If I could see Run DMC them right now, I'd be talking, or when I holler at like John from Houdini and them, like they gave me that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I see grandmas. I always give them respect because they gave me that. Right. And it's good to see that coming this way.
Your way. Exactly. Yeah. So you have a family.
Absolutely. I'm daddy.
Beautiful family, yes. And but you've also been putting in so much time into your work and your career,
right?
Which I'm sure your family understands at this point. But how have you been able to manage that like work life?
I mean, it's rough. it's rough because my son is your age, so it's like it's been rough, you know. And I had a lot of rough times, you know what I'm saying. But you know, again, it's just letting them understand, being honest with them. You know, that's the thing about being honest. Even if I might sound effed up, but just being honest and really thinking about what I'm saying, just being honest.
Yeah. I mean, does it feel like the sacrifices they were worth it, like to your family too?
Yeah. Sit straight up. I take care of them too, so it's like
I'm sure they.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not saying no, but it's of course it has. But you know what's important? I definitely make sure that I give them their time too. That's like good. You have to sometimes get off your high horse, get out of your work mode, be like, if you got to be responsible. You know what I'm saying? You really do. Mm-hmm. My younger period, nah. But the older I've gotten and stuff, I've been able to really put stuff into perspective.
Prioritize, absolutely. Is there any advice that you would give to an aspiring DJ, producer, artist, just with the current climate of the way things are now, but like just any advice that we haven't touched on?
Surround yourself with smarter people who believe in you. It's kind of hard to say, well, I trust this person, I trust you. But you have to give people a chance, opportunity, and understand your purpose. You really have to understand your purpose. That's what's very important. And you got to be straight up in terms of business with people. Like, this is what I need. This is what I want.
You talk about, like, understanding your purpose, whereas I feel like early on you kind of had already identified your purpose. Like, I know I'm good at creating.
Yeah, that doesn't happen with it just off the bat. It doesn't. Yeah.
But just getting to that point, getting to the point of, or sometimes even people that I've noticed just having conversation run from their purpose too. You know what I mean? So I think just really emphasizing like understanding.
you gotta trust yourself, because to me at the end of the day it's about you and the creator. Nobody else. Not to be on some old egotist. It's not that, but you have to, because nobody's gonna understand what you want to do but you and the creator. That's it. Even when you doubt yourself, you gotta say, you know what? Let me try it. I gotta at least try it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Just try it. And then if it doesn't work, you go to another direction.
Yeah. And I think that we talked about it already, but like you even having times where you've been fired or, turned around from this direction to that direction. The one thing that has been synonymous throughout your career is like that persistence factor too. Just like continuously moving forward. And
you got to always try different stuff. I'm not saying to spread yourself thin, but like say for instance, I had a situation at a studio I worked, but I knew it was a little shaky. You got to pay attention to your surroundings. So I went and tried to set up. I went and set up other situations in case that one fell out the way, because that happens in life. You got to always have your options.
Yeah. So I mean, what can we expect? You
touring, management, more good music, more guidance, more help, because I also instruct with DJing and I teach
I didn't even
DJing.
Get on that.
Yeah, all that, because I used to do Scratch Academy and all that. Expect more concerts coming from me, because I do a lot of stuff. Did the Kilo event a couple of weeks ago, so I just spreading the music.
Yes.
Spreading it.
Now you've like taught many a DJs.
Yeah.
Shout out to Twin.
Yeah.
Blue,
Super Blue.
Princess Cut. All of the DJs coming out of Atlanta, I'm sure can attest to how amazing or how influential you were into their career. So wait, Scratch Academy, no more.
It folded. The one in the Atlanta chapter folded 2 years ago.
Dang. Yeah, I remember seeing that. But no, we can't get that, because I know a lot of people were
No, I do a lot of personal
individual
stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So where can they reach out to you if they do want
at The Real DJ Jelly on IG and Twitter? Is everything spelled regular? The Real TheReal DJ JELLY.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you for sitting down with me. As always, you guys can catch this podcast on social media at IDM Podcast, as well as myself at Sammy Approved on all social media platforms. And shout out to DJ Jelly. Seriously, like I said from the beginning, you've been nothing but great to me, motivating. He always checks up on me throughout like where I'm going with my career. And I wish you much success always.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do your thing, girl.
Appreciate it.
All right.